Main event mamas bringing the heat. Talking life, love, and the wrestling beat. Step in the ring with the real ones, me. Mic in hand. Yeah, we on repeat. Yeah.
And I'm Kiara.
Yeah.
And I'm Kevin.
Tag team champs of the everyday grind. Body slammed out.
You're now entering the sister chat. Welcome to Main Event Mamas.
Still got time to drop these rhymes.
I'm a little hypo sugar right now.
Wrestling
Yep,
moves
this
in
is why
reality. Balance it all like it's destiny. Mama life is the legacy.
Anyway, welcome back.
Run this show from the ropes to the ropes.
Let's talk about this
Real talk, real love, real highs, real highs, real lows. Main event mamas.
This is our moment to remind.
Got a suplex for the drama.
Hit that
pin for the
subscribe
stress,
button
flipping scripts.
on whichever
We
platform,
do it the best. Relationships.
whatever platform
What's
you're
next on the
currently
list?
listening
Life's
to
a
us
match.
on. Whether
And
that
we never
is
miss.
YouTube,
Late bell nights, but we're wide
Spotify,
awake.
Apple,
Dreams on
Podcast,
lock, no time for fake.
iHeartRadio.
This is the hustle.
Okay, and with that, how's your week,
Championship
girl?
bells made of love we
What
make.
just happened?
I calmly invited people to follow us.
Okay.
My nighttime voice, you don't like it?
I don't know. Maybe I'm just too hyped right now. Anyway,
One of us does not have candy. Two of us do not have candy. That's it.
I mean, well, someone had cookies. I don't have no cookies. Well, I did have cookies. They're gone too. Anyway, I'm just hungry.
Same as you were. How was your week, girls?
It's been a week.
Mine was fine. Full week. Can't complain. How about y'all?
I mean, it is a full
I
week.
could
Well, half a
complain.
week. I mean, I could complain a lot. I mean, we'd rather me be this version of me today right now than I was an hour and a half ago. I came in hot. Oh, okay.
That's crazy. Anyway, it's been a week. We survived. Yeah, that's it. That's where I am. But it leads in today's discussion because I've had the distinct pleasure of dealing with my senior a lot this week. And my boy child's great. I love him. And he's so brilliant. But it's bringing back PTSD from senior year. That's what I feel.
Oh,
I feel like I'm getting hit with, do you remember when this was you? And I'm super and incredibly grateful to know that I survived that time in my life because everything's stressful for seniors right now, right? Like he just did his SATs last week. Fingers crossed for a fantastic score because I gotta tell you, he blew them ACTs out the water. So I was like, fingers crossed, scholarship. That's what we're aiming for. High marks. His PSATs were fabulous. So fingers crossed. He only has to take it once. I had to tell him I took it 3 times, and he was like, that's crazy. And I was like, that's what we did back then. Like, it was the best of scores. The highest of each is what they put together. And he was like, that's crazy, Bob. I'm only taking it once. I'm like, well, I paid for it, so I determine whether you're going to do it more
I
than
ain't
once.
gonna lie. That's smart. He's like, I'm not gonna cause myself that much stress. I'm already stressful. I
Yeah.
stress myself out enough. I don't need.
He was actually kind of annoyed to be up because we had to leave early in the morning. And I was like, at least you get up and you're going into a classroom. I had to drive you this early. Then I was in the car, me and this other mom, we were eye checking each other because both of us are like, what you doing? I don't know. We both here sitting in the car waiting for our teenagers because, they can't leave early. They got to wait till the test is over. So it was very much like PTSD for me. I went and got an oil change from the best guy ever. Take 5. Did the job well. I went stopped by Sheets, got me some chai tea latte, which was better than my today's Starbucks chai tea latte. And then I also had breakfast. So to be honest, it wasn't a terrible morning. My husband thought I was crazy for not coming back home, but I was like, why would I leave again? You're ruining the enjoyment of if I come back home, I'm going back to sleep. And then what will he do? How will he get home? Feels wrong. But anyway,
Makes sense.
with that, feel like I said, it gave me PTSD, right? So when we were talking about his stress level, he was basically explaining how he's like, I just am in a constant state of stress. And I was like, why? But But I kind of get it now, as he explained. He's like, I got to figure out my life and my tests, and like we got all these other things to figure out. And then I had the distinct pleasure of going back and trying to fill out, application things for the state, and then FAFSA, which is a moment in time that I didn't want to revisit because it's awful and invasive and stressful because you want to make sure you get these numbers right. And I have some complaints, to be realistic. So this week, we're going to unpack that a little bit, right? We're going to unpack the survival guide for senior year. We're going to talk about college applications a little bit. And then in our second session, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving because it's coming up fast. And our plans are very different than what they were last year for many of us. Me in particular, because I definitely was aiming to go back to Kevin's so I don't have to cook. But alas, we have some changes afoot for all of us to try to
Not a,
navigate the holiday
not a,
season.
alas, at
You
last.
can blame my children. They have me talking old timey this week. Like we
Okay.
had British accents this morning. I don't know. My husband came downstairs and was like, "Why are you all talking like this?" Like my daughter's like, "Mother." That's how she greets me. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's the
And then she goes,
plays.
"Father." I'm like, "What? Who are you
It's the
talking
plays.
to?" My drama queen. That's what she is. My theater kid. Anyway,
Step in the ring, it's a brand new call. Life's a wrestle, welcome to the brawl. Parent and pinfall, who's got the win, yo?
so let's talk about this application process. So I will say it felt more intense this time. And I know, Tanisha, each of us have kids who are like experiencing this time of their life. But I also kind of want to revisit how we did it and, kind of the differences. But it feels like really intense. And I was like, as I was going through his application thing, I came up with some thoughts because I was like, I really wanted to ponder the differences between the things that I felt like I had to do and the things that he felt like he had to do. For instance, when we were doing the state application, I don't remember doing that. It's like I didn't have that in Georgia, right? Like there
Mm-mm.
was no state application. And in fact, I think my mother, I can't remember how we did it because I was like, I feel like we must have done it together, but in this process is very much apart. So I want to talk about the biggest difference I've noticed in terms of like the experience for him because he comes to me with this paper and he goes, "Mom, I need your assistance." I put that thing off for like 5 days. I'm not going to lie. I was like, everything about this seems like I'm going to be looking at paperwork and numbers. It's kind of how I feel about taxes because I don't want to do them either, but I'm good at them and I do them. I have thoughts, but that's a whole nother. We're gonna go off topic here a little bit, but the biggest difference I noticed was that there was parts that he had to fill in and then there were parts that I had to fill in. And I don't remember that experience from when it was our turn to go to college, right? Like I feel like he filled in his part, but he sat next to me the entire time and he was like, "Mom, what do I say?" I was like, "That's crazy." Because I don't think I even did that. I just filled it out to the best of my ability and moved on.
Mm.
So there was a lot of stress of like, what are these numbers? When did we move here? Right. Because, I kind of had that same experience when I was growing up. I moved to Georgia after my freshman year, but it was so invasive. I felt like I had to put my driver's license information in there. I was like, this is a lot. So that was a big difference I noticed that I felt like it was my taxes all over again. Like it was just like, why are you asking me so many questions? It feels like I live here. I have a residence here. What more do you need from me? So that was the biggest difference I noticed. As you guys are looking at this, have you encountered any differences that you kind of want to talk about? Is it giving you PTSD like it's giving me PTSD and making me want to enjoy a true serum on the sly, just to be honest?
I mean, I will say that right now, I guess maybe because both of us are going, well, you know what? I would say both of us are going to school, but my son told me he may want to take a year off. And I kind of looked at him and was like, well, what you going to do in that year off? And he said, well, work.
That right there.
He said, work. I said, okay, well, as long as you know you're going to work. I said, I'm okay with it. But then we had to have hard conversations about the college that he really want to go to and how much those things cost.
That.
So it was one of those, like, just so you aware, you know, this school costs about $26,000. And his face went, 1,000? I was like, yeah, it's not cheap, homie. It's not cheap. I said, and if we add dorm, because he wants to ultimately have that experience. I was like, if you want a dorm, that's an additional 23,000.
For a dorm?
Yes, for the year though. But yeah, which
Each
would make
year?
sense because I live in New York. It
Oh,
makes
okay,
sense.
okay.
But
Really.
because it's like an apartment, like they gotta walk. But
Mine
still,
was like that.
yeah. But I guess because that campus is spread out. So it's like it's on this street over here, and then you gotta walk a couple other blocks and come over here, and then go over here, and so it's not like the true campus style, like if Hampton or you know,
Wherever
Morgan
you went.
State and those schools. Yeah, everywhere else out of New York City, the campus is actually a campus. I think Columbia is the only one that's maybe a true campus for real. And then like Long Island, then theirs is like campuses. But
Okay.
and Westchester, because Westchester, I went to Westchester Community College, and that was a campus. Like I went from one building over here and then walked across the grass and went to the other building over here. That was the only time I really got like, oh, this is okay. But anyway, to answer the question, so I haven't done the FAFSA form for him yet. And I need to redo mine because last year it was just like the regular FAFSA that I'm used to. And then speaking with you to find out that is a little different, I haven't done
It
that.
is just different.
But I will say New York does have where you had the state one, and I had that when I was growing up. Well, I had that. So it was to help, maybe not the first 2 years, but when I came back from Virginia and I went back to school, they had it. So it's called TAP. So that was supposed to help supplement the Pell Grant if you were able to get one. Or maybe you couldn't get the Pell Grant, but you got the TAP. And I think that was
Oh,
like,
I see. Okay, so it was like, yeah, no, when I
yeah, so
say
it's
the
supposed to help. So is
in-state,
it? Mm-hmm.
it's not, it's just, all it does is establish your eligibility for in-state tuition. Like, they don't actually give
Oh, okay.
you,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
this gives no. So this gives our in-state we have where you have that's for
in-state, like,
in-state.
funds.
So that's actually for in-state people. You can't do it outstate. You
Oh,
can't get TAP. That's for you actually being
interesting.
in-state. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. From what I remember and from what I did last year, it's for like the in-state. So it's another way for pretty much New York State to encourage the kids to stay in New York.
By giving them funds. That's actually really smart. I never thought about that. The only thing I
It just
knew
like
about Georgia and with NC is that they reduce your tuition somewhat, right? You get the rates, but that was going on long before, right?
I mean, I think yes, but I think also I don't know, to be honest. I don't really know cuz like I told you, like we talked about in the last episode, the last time we talked about colleges in the beginning when it first was like, "Oh, we got to think about it." I
Mm,
remember my mom paid for college the first 2
that's right.
years cuz she made more cuz she worked for the state. So that's why I don't remember if there was. It became once cuz as you guys fill these things out, especially if your child um to consider as independent, they have to have a child or been living on their own and been proven that they're living on their own or 21 for you to be able not to really have your parents file for you. So I don't. So then I will sit here and take that back. I don't know if there was not a TAP form or not, because
Okay.
my mom is the one who did those forms. And back then I think wasn't it paper back then?
Yes, it
So
was. In
I don't
fact,
even. So yeah. So she did all those forms. So truthfully, there could have been one, but because she did not qualify because she made more money, and it was technically just me in the household because my brothers were gone.
right.
They were like, you don't get nothing. You need to pay. And my mom literally paid
Interesting.
the 15, and then she got a loan. I was able to get a loan, and the loan helped me pay for school the second year or
Yeah.
the second semester or whatever. So yeah. So I know I will probably eventually see the new forms and try to figure it out and understand whatever frustration you were feeling
No, it
because
was real.
I have to fill it out for me. But I think right now, we are in a toss up. But even if he does go back, he's going to probably go to community colleges right now into, which is not what I want him to do. I'd rather him go straight into a 4-year. But I think for him to even, I think I should commend him for even knowing, hey, you know what? I want to take a moment. Because not all of us do that. We be like, all right, let's go. For him to be like, I think I really want to take a second and just take a year off and then go to school. Because he still wants to go to school. And this is a child who I thought who never wanted to go to college. So it took him to take that course for him to change his mind. But like I said, so I think I will definitely feel what you're feeling about the forums because I'm probably going to get lost. And I'm going to need your help since you already did it.
I think that's so. Wait.
Wait, you see how I segued in that? I'm gonna need your help
That's wild.
because I may throw my computer if it's that frustrating or that
I wanted
confusing how
to.
you're making it seem. See, yeah, see? Mm-hmm.
I wanted to. I wanted to throw my computer. You said a couple things I want to revisit, and we're gonna come back
Yeah.
to that. But yes, it, it was very invasive, but I feel like it was probably invasive before, right? And maybe, and you mentioned two things that kind of got me. One, thinking like I went out of state, so I don't know if there was an in-state like
Mm-hmm.
component that I just ignored because when I came back in the state, it was just you just wrote I live here. Like it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like it just wasn't as deep as prove that your parents live here. But I will also tell you, they do have this thing on the FAFSA now where you can say that your parent does not want to fill it. There is a
Okay, that's
box that
good.
says, is your parent resistant in filling this out? And I was
Not
like, or that they
resistant.
don't want to,
Whoa.
or there's something, the terminology, I don't know if it's like resistant or that your parent refuses to fill it out. There's something there. Me and my husband had a whole conversation about it because he was like, when he went to school, his mom was like, I'm not filling out nothing. So,
I mean, there's some people that's out there like, I'm not filling this out either because they feel like it's invasive. That's you asking me too much of my personal business, and that's none of your business.
or
Either
they
you
don't
gonna
feel
help
like
or
they're
you
going to
not gonna help.
contribute
Like
anything. Yeah. Or they're not going to contribute anything.
anyway,
They're
so why should it
statutory like, I'm
matter?
not doing it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing it anyway. So don't worry about it. You go off your own merits. Or your own financial situation because I'm not going to support you in that. So I thought that was an interesting note that there was a box now that was like, your parent refuses to participate in this process, which I was like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't, I wanted to check that box, but I felt like that was a disservice. Um, for him. And it's mean. My mom didn't. What about you, Kevin?
Well, my experience from when I was doing it, it's a lot more invasive now, I think, with what they're asking than on what they asked before. Which I don't know why that is.
I don't
I don't know if
either.
it's
They just want to be all up in your business.
well, maybe. I don't know whether it's because they're trying to get more of a picture of how much you can truly contribute
Okay.
versus
What you
before.
want
I
to.
don't think it. If you like, if you want, if you want to, right?
That's real.
Because there's some, like you were saying, there's some parents that just don't want to contribute anything. But I mean, if your child is under the age of 18, I mean, you kind of have to fill it out.
or even if they are 18. Like, my thing is like, because my child's 18, but my thing is like, he's still, I understand that you classify as an adult, but
Right, but
this
not for
child is
real.
still on my insurance. You know what I'm saying? This child
Yeah.
is still in my
Right.
household. I am still supporting said child. So I can't, you know what I mean? Like, and even when I was 18, I moved out of my house, but all my financial stuff came from my mom, right? Like, hey, I need money. Could you send me money? Even though I was working, I definitely needed help with paying for things. But yeah, there's a good point to be had about why it's so invasive and whether they want to um get a better picture. But I'm going to argue against that a little bit, because when I was filling out, so the other part of the stress, so the first part of it was this ridiculous application, right? But the second part is this deadline, right? So you have to make sure it's all filled out and by a certain time. And I feel like it gets a little dicey with um kids and their own current, obligations with school and things like that, and trying to figure out when all this stuff has to get done, because it's kind of difficult to try to figure out. But I just
Hence
feel
why you're
like,
gonna help me. You're gonna help me.
yep,
Help me.
with a glass of something really big,
That's
because,
fine. We will do it. We'll do it together.
it was a lot. I was very upset. And I do our taxes. So my husband's like, "Oh, you got this." And I was like, "Pour it in this glass." Like, that's a lot. But I felt kind of frustrated in that I realized that the FAFSA is basically a snapshot in the past, right? So it's your previous, like, 2 years ago from your financial information. A lot can change in 2 years. It
And I feel like
has,
that
okay?
wasn't. I feel like that wasn't even a case. I thought it was like what it was a year before. So why does it matter what was 2 years ago? Because that's like it can change within 2 years. I mean, definitely for both of us, we both were laid off. 2 years ago, we had a job, and last year we did it. Like we did or we
And
did it.
this year I
Like I don't.
don't. Again, I'm like, excuse me,
I wasn't trying to
trying
put
to
you. I
tell
wasn't
y'all
trying to
something.
put your business out there.
It's
I wasn't
okay.
trying to
I
put your
know we'll
business
be
out there.
talking about when we midnight confessions, that'll be part of that conversation. But I don't again. And so now we're in a situation of, well, 3 years ago, my income was significant. This year, it's not as significant. So how is that going to be reflected in the contribution for me to continue to, like, pay? Because frankly, we're just trying to live. I don't know how I'm going to pay for that. But then I also want to dive into a little bit further. We looked up the tuition for the schools that he was talking about, which we had, I felt like, before, but it got real when everything was over, 6 figures. I was like, wait, so 4 years at the state college is over $120,000? Like, fam, no. My entire
That's in state.
undergraduate degree,
Yeah, is that in state? That's in state.
yes, it is in fact in state. That
Is
wasn't
that
even,
including?
that was in state.
Is that including the dorms? Because that's
Believe
crazy.
it may. But here's the thing. I remember so I remember the other part, which is also kind of cool and a little dicey, is that because you filled this stuff out in the past, they keep you on the same, your information is already in the system, right? Because remember, I went to school twice. So I definitely, my undergraduate, how much I paid for my undergraduate's in there, how much I paid for my graduate degree is in there, because it tells you how much your loans or whatever came to, your package. Why was that more than I spent the entire time? That was 2 degrees. That was 2
Wait, wait,
degrees.
wait, 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 wait. You're saying your 2 degrees is less than what the current rate of 4 years of college is in states
Yes, ma'am.
down there.
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Yes. And I felt some kind of
That's
way.
crazy.
That's what I said. I said the cost of college is a whole situation here. Like, thank God. I was like, I really sat down and I was like, we need to really discuss like how we're going to figure this out, because I don't want you to feel like I felt when I graduated from college and I was like, I mean, I'll pay it later, but it's almost like it didn't click till later how much money you were going to be in debt, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now I understand, you know, the cost of tuition, everything it can feel unattainable. And so even looking at the financial aid that they are offering and things like that and what's going on politically and economically, it's like, bam, we might have to go about this a different way. And so
Mhm.
we had to have a really, important conversation about, okay, listen, yes, I know you are brilliant and I hope your scores are what they should be so you can get admitted and you can qualify for some of these scholarships. We're also going to have to dig into scholarships in general and we will give you a
Mhm.
list because we love y'all out there. We don't want y'all to be out
Mhm.
here like us scrambling. So we will give you a list as well at the end of this episode. We'll take you to a blog post with that information. But it was it was just an immensely like stressful moment when you realize the true cost of things now and how that differentiates and how I felt like this kid is bright. Like he can offer so much to the world. He's not just going to college because he doesn't know what to do next, right? It's just he's brilliant and he needs this kind of training that will hopefully set him up. But you don't want to pay so much that you're under burden for the rest of your life, like the rest of us, trying to figure that out. Like as we are, you don't want to be 70 years old trying to figure out how we gonna pay for this. And so there's definitely that pressure now. And so when he was talking to me about being stressed, I was like, yes, I too am stressed looking at this information, and I don't have an answer for you. I'm going to go watch wrestling is how I'm going to relax. I don't know what you're going to do. I suggest you go play a video. But there are things we might have to consider, like should he go to, for instance, you talked about community college, right?
Mhm.
You can reduce a lot of costs often if you start at a community college and you take your like core classes at community
Mhm.
college and then you can transfer. In North Carolina, it's very easy to transfer to other colleges in the system after doing your core classes for your undergraduate. So they do have a lot of programs like that. There's also some schools that offer, free tuition based on, financial information based on
Strength.
your,
Mhm.
annual money that you make. I can't think of the word for it now. Your salary or your household income. That's the word I'm thinking of. So I was like, we're gonna have to get real creative, is what I feel, to figure
Mhm.
this out. But it felt like it was unattainable. I was like, if you are somebody who does not know this information, is not able to easily access this information, this must be like over your head. Because I was in the struggle bus. I was like, it looks like we're going to be looking for some opportunities here to supplement your education so that you're not working 24/7 and trying to manage all of this at the same time. So it was just that was a reflection of like maybe the state of things and maybe opportunities to look at ways to make it more affordable for people because the way that a lot of these companies are set up for the future, if you want to get into corporate America, you really have to have a degree. Like there was a time where they were like, "Oh, we're not doing that anymore," but we have surpassed that time because everybody's like, "I'm sorry, what's your degree? Um, hi, do you qualify?" And there's so many people in the job market. Don't take me down that. That is it's very competitive. So it is a different world that we live in, and to be able to properly set up your children, I feel like it requires a much deeper dive than it did when we just decided to go to college. You know what I mean? It was like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm gonna go to college. I didn't feel
Mhm.
like I had to stress myself out as much as looking now at his potential past. Um, yeah. Anybody want to dive into that a little bit? Have thoughts and
I
feelings you want to
mean,
share about that?
okay, good, Kevin. I
No,
mean,
I was just
Caroline.
gonna say you also have to take into account the type of degree as well that
100%.
they're getting. Because a lot of times you have to look at we were talking about looking at the career path that
Mm-hmm.
these degrees can get you because going to school for psychology, which is what I started with, um, it's not a whole lot you could do with just a associate's or a bachelor's degree in psychology. You gotta get your master's and
Mm-hmm.
go even further than that sometimes just to get something that's gonna be lucrative enough to sustain, especially in this economy today.
Right.
Um, or trying to go to school for, other types of like arts or anything like that. Like, you just have to really consider what they want to do in this economy, if it's going to make sense for them
Yeah,
going forward.
I agree with that. And I definitely think we started talking about that a few years ago, which was a little frustrating in that sense. Like I remember again, taking you back to my past. I was like, I'm gonna be a journalist. Then I went to college and I had a roommate whose parents were journalists, and they were like, "No, you don't want this life." They were like, "You don't want the smoke. You ain't gonna be making no money. You're gonna be broke all the time and you're gonna be stressed out." And I was like, "Oh, well, I need to rethink this situation." Um, which enabled me to kind of start to think about that. Like, what else can I do in this realm? I remember going to the student services and looking up my degree and looking up the different career paths and the potential earnings for each of them. And that's how I ended up netting into public relations, actually. I was like, oh, that might be something fun. Now, I didn't initially pursue it. I still graduated with a degree in journalism, but by switching schools, I made sure I had a concentration public relations because I knew that that was a career path I was interested in going. But when it came to both of my kids, we've already had this conversation. Like the tech world is very different, it's shifting. So do not go to school for something that just is AI specific. I would like to get a degree in AI. No, you don't. That's my answer. I'm like, it changes so much every day that if you go get a degree in something like artificial intelligence, whatever, it's going to be obsolete by the time you finish because it's changing so significantly. This is like back in the day when we got, degrees and people were like, "Oh, I'm going to get a marketing degree in social media." Don't do that because look at how much social media changed in just a brief period of time. You need to kind of find a happy medium between what you like and what will ultimately be lucrative for your future. But again, that again leads us back to thinking about long-term prospects and doing a ton more research than again, and we just went to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think I narrowed it down to what I really wanted to do until junior year. I was like, yeah, I want to be a writer, but then again, I met her parents and I had thoughts and feelings, and then junior year, I was like, I think I need to get serious about this. And then I had to decide how far to go. Like, do you want to stop at your bachelor's? Do you want to go get a master's? Because that was not initially in my plan either. But I was like, it was very difficult for me to get into the field. So I decided to pursue a master's degree while I was working, not necessarily in the same field, but with transferable skills. But it took like 6, 7 years to get into the field. But you had to be flexible to be like, okay, I have to take a job that's not necessarily what I study. Right. So there was just a lot to consider. And so I try to keep that information in mind when I'm talking to both my kids. I'm like, what do you want to go for? How can we curtail that in a way that it's not obsolete and that we try to look at opportunities for the future? Because, like I said, the tech space is very different than when we were growing up, where you're like, oh, I'm just going to look at computer science. And what else? What else? Do you want to go into cybersecurity? Do you want to go into like game design? Do you want to go into what exactly? And I know we talked about this briefly kind of offline. Like, if you want to be an art student, that's a beautiful thing. What is your plan for that degree, though? And I feel like you need to try to narrow into what that plan would be so you can know what to expect for your life, right? So that you're not just like, oh, I went to school for this and I never used it and I hate it. Like, and now I'm nowhere near it. So I feel like there's some of that. Tanisha, it looked like you wanted to say something.
Don't remember. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't, and it's not your fault, Kevin. I just don't remember. There's too much happening in the back. I hear yelling, water. I don't know what's going on, so I don't remember what I was about to say. Oh well, I will say I'll touch the topic because we were talking. I mean, I can definitely tell you I haven't looked up in a while what my son wants to be and what's the prospects of it. Because like you said, everything fluctuates, right? Um, and of course, I feel like the field that he wants to be in, you have to know the right people.
For everything, you
Or,
got to know the right people these
well,
days.
of course, you need to know the right people for everything. But even, because he wants to be, when you're trying to find the right, because when you're trying to find the right niche, it's something that's supposed to be important to you, right? Because I feel like people just go to school just to say, I went to school, and they just pick something just so they're in school, and then they don't use it, or they may think that they're going to do everything right. And it just doesn't pan out that way. That's the story for millions of people, right? Like, there's not many who has a degree and actually working in the field that they have the degree for. And so I never did that with my oldest. However, I'll look again just to see where it goes. But because I want to be able to survive, right? And unfortunately, in this world, we have to have a degree to survive, or be really, really, really smart. It can prove how smart we are with what we do, um, where the degree doesn't matter, right? But like you said, it's starting to matter, because at one point it did go away, and then that's why I'm going back to school for my bachelor's, because I'm like, the associate doesn't do anything. They don't. No, they don't care about you having an associate. That doesn't mean nothing to them anymore. So the one thing I will say, touch on, and I think this is what I wanted to say, was going to school. The things that I know now and what I would have did then, I definitely probably would have, especially realizing how competitive trying to be in the vet tech program at the school that I picked, I probably would have never did it. I probably would have just went in, been generalized, or would have found the couple of trade schools that are veterinary technology, that you would pay a good portion. It was a significant, like 30,000, maybe less than, but that's what I remember. And then been there, everything was covered. I think room and board was covered. Everything was covered, and you get your degree within 2 years. Like, you're
Oh,
already in
wow.
the program. I didn't find that out until after I had my oldest. And at that point, it was like, well, we can't really do that. That's a lot of money. But if I knew that before then, I probably would have did that, because at least it's getting me straight into the program. Because that's the other thing too. A lot of these colleges don't let you get straight into the program. You got to do all these extra remedial, because they got to make sure they get their money. So you got to do all these extra remedial stuff, or get all these different things before you even get to the core of your program.
That is,
And
yeah.
normally the core of the program is not even to your third year.
Yep.
You spent all 2 years just doing all this other stuff for fluff. And now the last 2 years of college, here you are. Or
I mean,
even
I
like,
would
even,
argue that I don't think it's fluff, because so this is one of the things I mentioned to my son, boy child, was that the courses that are not your core courses, so the additional kind of like extra courses, I mean, I'm sorry, or your core courses, so your English, your math, those things, they feel, I don't necessarily feel like they were remedial, but they were definitely like, why do I have to know this? But in dealing with a lot of people in the workforce who can't write a sentence, who can't do simple math, some of that is necessary. I feel like. I feel like you do need to
oh
learn
yeah,
how
I wasn't
to
talking about that being,
communicate. Like, you do need to know how to shoot an email together that is cohesive and grammatically correct, right? You do need to be able to do simple math. Like, I work so many hours, I make so much money annually. This is what my salary is supposed to be. This is how much my benefits are deducted. Like, there's some simple maths that you need to know. So I feel like some of those things feel not necessary in the moment, but they are. That's what I'm going to say there.
but I wasn't talking about that. I wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about when they want you to do all these extra electives that is not necessary for anything else. It's just to build you up until you get there. That's the one thing why I liked when I went to, I did an online course or online school down in Texas. It put me straight into the program. It was like, you just make sure before you graduate, you need to make sure you did all your course, because you ain't going to graduate if you don't do that.
Right.
But let me go ahead and here you go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's your 4 classes that are going straight into the program versus I have to do all these other things to get there.
Mhm.
That was the one thing I think, and I guess sometimes, yes, certain things do make sense. Like if you need to go to chemistry, well, no, maybe not. But if you want to go to biochemistry, you need to actually have biology and chemistry. But some things didn't make sense. Not for me when I was going, because I was like, why do I need to take this class, take this class? That don't make no sense. Because these two to me they don't have, like, they're
Direct correlation to like your
yeah, like biology and oh my God, anatomy. To me, they're like co together. Like I'm learning the same thing that I learned here over here. And it's like they either have me work them together, but but it's also how college is structured for them to make money. So, I'm not saying people shouldn't have English or math, because you definitely should have English or math. Just to be able to, but just the other stuff is what I'm saying. It's the fluff, like the electives. You need to make sure you have a music class. What is that going to do for me in my degree that it has nothing to do with music? Know what I'm saying? That type of stuff.
I hear you, but I disagree because I
That's
feel
fine.
like the electives, I felt like that make me a more rounded person. I feel like sometimes when you grow up in certain backgrounds, you don't get exposure to certain things, right?
Mm,
So
mm-hmm.
Spanish was good because it helped you with
Oh
culture
yeah.
and with language. I took religion. I ended up minoring in religion because I just thought it was fascinating. Did it have anything to do with anything? It just made me write more. But I also feel like as a person, it helped me think about things differently. And now as I reflect on some of those courses, like um I took a random class about women in West Africa, which changed my life. Like I learned so much about the culture and West African culture and what those women were dealing with and how society it was different than how, things that we were dealing with and some of our issues. And it helped me expand my mind in a lot of ways. And I think that's what those electives are built for. They're to like make you a more well-rounded person. Now, fair enough. I'm sure it don't work for everybody. And I think you have to have the mentality to just be like, okay, this is interesting. Um, but I loved learning all the different things. They were all each new, different. I took astronomy. Why? Because I needed that course to graduate. I needed one of the sciences to graduate. And it was a cool course to the point where now, like, when my child was taking astronomy, I could be like, this is what I learned. We could like geek out together a little bit. So I feel like one of the things that college is supposed to do is not just prepare you for your field, but also make you a much more well-rounded, educated person. That's not always going to be learn this for the job. Like I feel like tech schools, they're built to teach you for the job, right? But a lot of jobs now I feel like have on the job training. There's things that you're going to have to learn at every job you go to because there's just things specific to that company. But when it comes to talking to people from different areas and different cultures and different backgrounds, having that basis of like experiences and electives and concepts and topics that may come up, may not come up, allow you to be on that same kind of playing field rather than being like, I have no idea. I didn't study that. I didn't learn it. I don't know what stars are, but I could tell you all about the Odyssey or I could tell you all about the books I read. I think we were playing a game earlier where we were talking about movies from like the 1970s. Now, why did I know what this movie particular thing was? Because I wasn't alive. Oh, I watched it in this class and I'm able to correlate that to other topics of conversation. So when I say that, I feel like some of those electives are created not just as a money grab, probably. I'm not going to say it's not at all a money grab because they got to pay for their establishment some way. But I also think that when it comes to being a college graduate, you're supposed to be a much more cultured and refined and educated person in all aspects, which is why like I chose liberal arts colleges because I wanted that experience to be able someone who can understand arts and culture differently, right? So that's how I think about it. Just differently. And I feel like that
Understood.
helped me in a lot of places in life and having conversations with people from different areas. I definitely think it cultivated my love of Spanish even more. And allowed me to like experience, connect with people differently. If that makes sense.
It does.
What do you think, Kevin?
Um, I mean, I get where you're coming from, Tanisha, in terms of just for instance, like trying to go back to school probably about 10 years ago now, for nursing and having to do all of the prerequisites,
Mm-hmm.
then getting the prerequisites done, but then you go back, like I obviously didn't finish, went to real estate school and all, you know, long story, but trying to get back into it, a lot of that stuff you have to retake,
Mm-hmm.
That's
which
annoying.
is
I will admit that.
crazy. Even if you took it, got good grades, and it was 10 years ago, you
They're like
gotta
10.
it has to
They're
be
like,
within like
it's over. 10 years. You
5
don't know
years.
nothing.
It's
Yes,
crazy, right?
that
I
is
I
crazy.
remember that. And you have to like take it within the last 5 years, especially like anatomy, physiology, some of the biology classes, like those you have to retake them. Um, and so I think that some of it is kind of I can get where you're saying like, now get it. I get nursing, there's a lot to it. And they want to make sure that you're up on game and there's some things change and I get it. But I'm sure it's not like that for every degree.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um And so I do get what you're saying in terms of like, it just makes it really difficult when you're trying to get into a field and you have like 2 years of prerequisites before you ever get to a nursing
Mm-hmm.
class. Um, Especially when you already have a degree and you're trying to, revamp or go back to school for something different. So I do get it. And then I also get the purposes of the extracurricular to make you a well-rounded student, make you, a little bit more educated and make you just I think it just causes you to be able to relate to the world more, people more when you know just a little bit more, a little extra than just the core and basic things. So I mean I get both sides, but it can be very frustrating
I do think that's
in the
right.
long run.
There is a lot of frustration. I do think that's exactly right because I do remember that like having to go back and be like I gotta take this class again, and it hadn't been like 5 years. It was just you only took half of this with your pre, ma'am. This half was double the stuff that you're asking me to do again.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
that that I do feel like was annoying when you're like, take English again, ma'am. I took 101 and 102. Well, there's 103. Are you kidding me?
Like when it 103 have to be a part of it. When you look, that's the other thing. When you look at the requirements to graduate, it says that especially when it comes to English, you need just 2 Englishes. Like everything else could be extra. And when they throw it on you, you be looking like. When we look at the guidelines that y'all set forth, right? You see these? It says I only need 2. And if I got the 2, I don't need the third.
But
The
their
But I
guidelines
remember
are
guidelines
like,
can
nope,
change.
like, that's not our curriculum. I'm like, I'm
Right.
not. Ooh,
Don't
that was
switch
annoying.
schools in the middle of a
Well,
degree.
listen,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
or make sure if you switch schools that you gotta compare the curriculum. You gotta prepare yourself to find out what credits move over and what don't. Because I definitely wanted to throw
And
things. Because going from a private to a public, from one state to another state, and I wanted to fight. But even watching my husband go from a tech school to a different tech school to a different tech school, and then be like, "Yeah, half of that don't come over." I was like, "You got to be." So I just
that's the
wasted
most
money.
frustrating part too. When they be like, this don't count. And you be like, so these whole 30 credits don't count? Like
don't,
not at all. Like 0. Like I just
and don't let your GPA slip.
Ma'am. Talk about
Don't
it.
do it.
Talk about it. Even with extenuating circumstances. Like, I was in a car accident.
Mm-mm.
Ma'am, we hear you, but you need to prove
But you
how
need
much
to,
I,
yeah.
ma'am, I can prove I was in this car accident. Well, the best we can do is just let you know we are not going to put you on academic probation, but you still got to take all those classes. I was like,
Mm.
bet. That was awesome. You should have saw my
Or when
credit
they tell
hours when I
you,
was a senior. It was insane. They were like, you have more than enough credits to graduate. I'm well aware, but you still made me take different courses that you said I needed to take to graduate. Yeah, I'm sorry. Still got
yeah.
PTSD about
But
that.
see, that's the other thing too. That's the other thing. They don't. I think that's another reason why I left the first LaGuardia. Whatever, I don't care. I left LaGuardia because I went back doing great. My grades were going up, and I was trying to get back into the program. Actually, because I never actually got in the program. That's the other thing. I never really actually got in the program. You
That's
got to do
crazy.
all of this stuff and then apply. Even though it was my major, I still had to apply to get into the program.
Oh,
And it was like, so now I'm going. They're like, oh yeah, no. Well, your GPA needs to be a 3.5 or 4. I said, well, if you see, my GPA is a 3. Well, no. We use what you did. I said, when I was 18, you can use
that's
what I did
right.
when I was. Yeah, no, we got it
All of it.
but
It's a
why? I said, but
Cumulative.
why?
Yep.
This is that don't count. That was many years ago. Yeah, no, unfortunately, because of how competitive. I said, if you tell me competitive one more time about why I can't get in, don't make no sense. And then at that moment, I said, yeah, I can't come back here no more to come do this because y'all ridiculous. Y'all take advantage of the fact that y'all the only ones in the city that does a vet tech program, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Because you're the only one in the city.
that's
There's
crazy.
other schools out here in New York that does it. I was like, it's not
That's
that
crazy.
competitive. Don't make no sense. But yeah,
That's
no, I get
crazy.
it. Yeah,
I can't even
yeah.
imagine. That is. Yeah, I didn't. You know what? I'm like, did I have to apply to get into? I think so, because at the time Georgia State was transitioning to like the competitive place it is now, and there were several. You had to get your credits, and then you had to like meet with your advisor and basically kind of do it that way. Like you had to be like, I'm headed towards this, and they had to just check to make sure you had all of the requirements to head into that program. But I was like, I don't think it was a formal application process. I would have lost my crap.
Mm,
It was definitely that way
mm-mm,
for
no.
graduate school, but definitely not for undergraduate. Graduate school was like, will we take you on? We need to just figure this out. And I was like, that's crazy because it's too much money. But anyway, to wrap all of that up, there's a lot of college stuff going on here. There's a lot of college stuff. So be prepared to hear me complain about this until and beyond May. Because I am already sick of it right now as I am stressed. I'm like, can we get these scores back? I mean, I just what I'm looking forward
He
to is getting
just
these
took
scores.
them.
I know, but I was awful. I wanted to know my scores immediately. Like I was awful at it. Because you also have to know, like you need to know some of your stuff when you're doing applications. That's the thing. This is
Oh,
why I also did mine early. So just saying. I did mine a little early. So just be prepared to hear me complain about that from now until East Jesus, because I'm never it's a lot I'm going through. And that being said, like we do want to give you some quick tips to survive this because it's a lot. So first and foremost, check your deadlines because your children will probably not tell you when they actually are.
mm-mm,
And even though they
mm-mm.
think they're adults, they don't know what they're talking about a lot and they think they can just decide to go whenever they want to. For instance, his SAT was supposed to be starting at 8, I believe, but he was like he put something on my calendar for 7:45. And I was like, "So you're giving me 15 minutes to get there?" And he goes, "Yeah, they're not locking the doors to 8." Well, thank you for accounting for the fact I have to roll out of bed, get in the car, start the car, and drive there. I mean, so just a thought. Account for deadlines, not just for tests, but also for applications. Make sure you double check them because your student may be wrong. Secondly, file your FAFSA early because make sure your taxes are completed. And that's, you do the checklist because you're going to want to get all that information so you're not scrambling around like we are trying to figure out the pieces that go together. I'm glad I keep all my taxes in a nice box, carefully um, curated, filed, and sealed so I can find the information. And then lastly, breathe because it is a process and one that takes a while. And you may feel frustrated, and your child may be frustrated. It's important to really just be there for each other and just take a moment to, I would say, enjoy this time, but I don't know if I would call it that. But I would just say at least work through that kind of circumstance. And then lastly, just a little Kiara tip: college is not the only option. There are many other things you can do besides going to college. There's many ways to get there without necessarily accruing a ridiculous amount of debt. Just look into your options, right? Look into your options, like look into potentially going to, like we talked about, a community college for a couple years and transferring over. Look into how that might work. Look into something Tanisha mentioned, maybe working for a year before you decide to go. Hope be realistic about that opportunity and whether that's something you think that will happen. Because I know if I took a year off, I might have just dipped forever and never came back. So I went right into it. But I know other people just need that time to de-stress. That's your QR tip. All
Especially
right.
since we just finished talking about senior year being stressful. So yeah, they would.
Because, oof, I'm stressed already.
Okay,
Like,
but I just wanted to add that in there because
I
you
got to
said
go
that. I was
back
like,
to
gotcha.
back. I got to have another child do this next year. So when y'all see me out here looking crazy next week, I might be looking, for the next year, I might be skinny because I'm going to be at the gym. That's what happened. working out my demons. All right, and with that, let's move on to our adulting segment.
Adulting talk, yeah, it's a thing. Over 18, what will life bring?
All right, let's talk holidays this year, ladies. Because, as I mentioned, going through a particular transition in my household. And so we're on the hunt for new opportunities, which is not terrible. I mean, to be transparent, I have a business, and so I'm excited about exploring more consulting work. But typically, this is the time of year we all discussing about what we about to eat. We got the menu plans, but the cost at the grocery store, they said, hold up, you need to be prepared. So, how are you ladies adapting to the holiday season this year? Has your plan changed? Like mine has. What are you doing to work through, or at least start to think about this time of year differently?
Budget shopping
Coupon,
starting early.
coupon.
It's just, no, seriously though. No, that's real. Um, yeah, it's not necessarily going to be what it was last year, but we're gonna make it work.
We are.
We're gonna make it work.
What about you, Tanisha?
Yeah, I don't know because how my bank account is set up, right? You gotta borrow from the other bank account, but then borrow from the other bank account to put in that bank account, and then still borrow from the other bank account to make it work.
A lot of borrowing from
Yeah,
bank
yeah.
accounts. It's real.
I
It's
mean,
real.
but this is also, I think this would be my third year kind of celebrating
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, but normally I work. So this would be the first year that I'm not working. So I'm not, I don't know. I don't really know what to do when you don't normally celebrate and you're trying. I don't got no family. I mean, I have family, but I think ever since my grandmother passed, we don't have like a place like we're like, yeah, we're gonna all going because we used to be like, oh, we going to grandma's, and we'd be like, all right, cool, whatever, we're going to grandma's. Now grandma not here, so it was like we all do our own thing. So I don't really have nowhere else to like go. Just like, oh, I don't feel like cooking. Well, I don't know what I'm doing. So let me go over there. Let me bring you over here. So yeah, and with how the economy is going, and how this shutdown is going, I don't know. I'm definitely one of those 1% that is on stamps, and I don't know what to do.
I don't think you had the 1% over there. I think that percentage has grown. But I do think, yeah, no, I think Kevin, you nailed it on the coupons. I'm doing a lot of budget shopping. I have not cooked a full Thanksgiving dinner in maybe 5 years on purpose. One year, I even decided to do like Chinese food because I just did not want to do it. I did not want to cook. Um, that year did not go over as I planned it. And this year, I found out my husband was working, but then he told me yesterday he's not working. And so I'm like, great. So now I have to figure out, like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, except that I do not want to be cooking for 12 hours. So, point blank period. What our plan used to be is that he would do the turkey because I don't do birds. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to clean it out. I don't want to cut it open.
You
Like,
don't want to put your hand in there,
no,
rip the guts out.
don't. I don't want none of that. I don't want to touch the guts. Listen here, we're gonna get more into this on our Midnight Confessions Holiday Edition, but it does not go well. You do not want me. I am happy to do the turkey breast that I got from Aldi, and I'll season that to within, beauty. But do not ask me to go inside anybody's bird. Not doing it. And I do stuffing and I do vegetables. But
But
what it
you
sounds
realize
like
the
is at
stuffing
least
goes in
12
the
hours.
bird.
I didn't put it in there. That's not how mm-mm.
Oh,
He put it in there, not me. No, I
but
made
you
it,
make like.
but
Never mind. Let me not say what I was about to say. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't know what you were going with that, but I ain't doing it. I'm just telling you right now, it was a separate container. It was a separate container of stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna do. I know that things are financially tighter, so we have to be mindful. Um, but this is the first year we have to like do it again by ourselves. I really loved going to other people's houses because for many, many years, everyone came to my house and I just did not want that anymore. That work, that responsibility, and that cleanup. Also, Apollo's real, he out here. Like he will take a chicken leg and oh, it's about to be an experience for sure at this household this year. Um, but yeah, I definitely not looking forward to it. But one of the things I am looking forward to is spending more time with you girls. Like, I'm hoping that we can do another call, like we do our little family calls and get everybody on the phone with their kids and being like, "What are you eating?" That's fun. That's a fun call. Also, I love the recipe sharing. That's my favorite part usually. Like, how do you make dad's this? Or, are you making pie this year? Also known as Kiara is just gonna buy the pie and buy the filling and put it in the which by the way works fantastically if you're out there and you don't want to bake a pie from scratch. But I mean, I feel like it's from scratch because, I gotta roll out the dough. I'm saying I gotta add the apple filling. I'm gonna put my own special blend of cinnamon and nutmeg and such in there. So yeah, like I feel like it's from scratch. Y'all disagree? Y'all looking at me crazy. Isn't that from scratch? You're trying to tell me I don't do that?
It is from scratch for you.
Thank you.
There you go.
It is, in fact, from scratch for me.
There you go.
Clock it.
I'm
But
ready.
okay, but on the topic of scaling back, like I said, like typically we find our places like it starts out small and then people trickle in. I know, Kevin, you've had that experience. Like it's like, oh, it's just gonna be us, and then more people just show up. So how would you have the conversation this year about that? Like knowing that things are cut a little bit back, and maybe you don't want everybody in your business, or maybe you don't want to tell them everything that's going on. But how would you try to have that conversation about scaling back this year's Thanksgiving?
Other than, listen, normally how this goes is you get the, are you cooking? I don't know. That's typically how that's going.
I mean, it seems like
I
it was
don't
about to
know.
be super deep.
Listen.
No.
No, seriously, that's normally how it goes.
Are you cooking?
We listen. Are you cooking?
That's real.
Who's
I'm not gonna
cooking? You
lie.
cooking or me cooking? You cooking. I think you cooking this year,
Listen,
not
that's what I'm
me.
like. Okay, I may, we may do something. We may go out of town. You know what? We don't know yet.
Oh, okay. So that's one tactic. Hey, I may not be here.
I
That's
may
one
not
way
even
to
be
do it.
here. You know what I'm saying? I may
Listen,
be,
plans change at the drop of a dime.
They do. That's real. I think I might steal that one. Like I don't know what we're
I'm just
planning.
saying.
Oh my God.
So
It's
hopefully
up in
my
the
people
air
don't
until
listen
the
to
day
this.
before,
Oh,
and then we figure it out.
Wait, did you say it may be July 4th? What?
I said no. It's up in the air typically until the day
Oh,
before, because everybody always
okay.
like,
I really thought you was
that's
like,
true.
it could be anything. I could be, we may not see me till July
we
4th.
may
I was
go
like,
here, we may go there, we may cook, we may stay in. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Just
That's
saying.
real. I do feel like that's how our conversations used to go too. It'd be like, "What you doing? I don't know yet." Then we wait about a good week and we come
No,
back.
for
What you
real, we
doing?
really don't know though. Until we
I know.
decide like a day or two prior and run to the store because apparently we staying home.
That's so real. That may be my story this year. I'm not even playing. Like I was like, I feel as though a part of me wants to do it again. I was like, should we go to eat out somewhere? But then I feel bad because you want
Yeah.
that food back. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna need that food. And then you live with two teenagers like me and they eat it all and then you be mad. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
It's
Because I feel
funny.
like even when I went to your house, because I don't put it out there like I just brought myself. I did not. I brought food, people. I didn't just bring
Yes, you
us.
did. Yes, you
I
did.
brought food, tasty
You
food
did.
at that, and
You did.
desserts and cookies, all the things. And we left with half of it on purpose.
I'm about to say, I like how you
Yes.
sat here and said, you emphasized, I bought tasty things, people,
I
tasty.
did. Did I not bring tasty things?
She did.
I didn't say,
Like,
I wasn't saying it in a bad way. I
like,
was just
And then
saying how you
they
were
did
saying it. You were just like,
half the food.
I was gonna say, and indeed we did. And just like we ate half that food, and we was like, transfer. You would take this half, and this I'm gonna take this half.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Split
It
it.
was great.
It
Everybody
was
left
great.
happy and full.
Facts.
So I just want to emphasize that because I know it probably sounded like I just go and I don't cook, but that's not true. I do cook.
It's a
But
team effort.
it is. And now it feels like it will not be a team effort this year. And so I'm over here like, this is just a sad situation. Like,
I know. Trust me.
we're gonna have to figure it out. It is definitely a change this year. I know, like, one of the things I did want to bring up too is because, like, typically, we get this big bird, and then, like, again, I don't touch it, but then I get like the stuffing, and I get the vegetables, and I
why
get
are
all the
you talking
containers,
about it
and
like that? Why are you talking about it like that?
I'm not
So we
doing that.
typically get a big bird. Like,
We
girl,
do.
it's
I'm
not a big
not.
bird. It's just a turkey.
What if it's not a turkey? Sometimes we have chicken.
And it's big? Like huge?
No, it's not the chicken.
Oh, okay. I was just saying. You just said it was like a big.
You know
Anyway,
what?
let me
Anyway,
stop.
the point of all of that is to say clearly some changes are afoot this year. And there are some interesting things that you can do about it. So if you had to do a low cost Thanksgiving, what are some tips we can give people that we may be doing this year besides coupons? Because that is the first thing I am doing.
Well,
But
I mean, right now, they got specials happening. You got all these doing a 40, eat for $40. You got I think BJ's, no, Walmart, somebody. They got another one that's like,
and
depending on
then
how
at
many
Sam's
people you're
Club.
trying to feed. Depending on how many people you're trying to feed, they have different sizes, fits all. I think the most expensive one I think was Sam's Club for $100. But you were trying to feed 10 people or 15. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
it may
Sam's
go
Club
be
food
more
is
than.
kind of good. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I've been buying some of
But what I'm
their
saying
food.
is those are like, you have those alternatives. I think somebody was doing like $25, but it was feeding like 3 people or 4 people. I think that
Oh,
was
that's not
Walmart.
gonna work. Yeah.
But I'm saying you never know because everyone has different sizes, right? As we're talking about the different dynamics that are happening, right? What would have been what happened a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago is definitely not happening this year.
Right. So
or
scaling
whatever happened,
down, certainly.
scaling down, or maybe you're not scaling down. Maybe you're going to be the one that is feeding everybody because you are blessed that way. And they got packages for you too. I'm just saying. But I would tell you to go to, I would say if they got a Walmart, not a Walmart, but if also too, shop early. Don't do the last minute things because,
Even
everything
though
going
we
to be
just
more
discussed
expensive.
how we do that often.
I know.
Don't be us.
I know. Don't do that.
Be at the store
Don't
early.
do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Be
Don't
early.
be us. Be
Also
early.
make more, like, one of the things I've learned is maybe make some adjustments, maybe get some more canned items, not necessarily flash frozen. Look for those kind of deals. Um, just the state of the world, canned is not bad. Um, and then they even had, like, y'all, I discovered a thing with, so I found there was like meat in a like can, and when it popped out it was like a full meat like breast. For instance, like, we have salmon in my house, and so I went to
I just want
buy
you to be
salmon.
aware. You see both of us looking at you weird,
I
right? I
know,
just
but
want you to
I'm
be clear that we're
I'm well
both
aware.
looking at you
Listen
like,
here.
what you talking about? Because that
I'm
sounds
about to tell
crazy.
you. Listen here. Lean in. Okay? So there there was a, if you're watching this, so you can understand why I'm cracking up. That's crazy. So in the can, there was a salmon. So like I said, we buy salmon because I like to make salmon patties and stuff like that, right? So I open the salmon thinking it'll just be kind of like grounded up, kind of like salmon pieces. Ma'am, when I opened this can, an entire breast of salmon fell out, like an entire ginormous breast of salmon. And I just sat there looking at it in utter confusion. I was like, is this a thing? Like, I didn't know you stuffed like the salmon in the can. I didn't even know that was a thing. So when I was at Walmart or another local store, I don't remember, it could have been Harris Teeter, and I literally looked into the meat aisle. I was like, there are so many options available for canned meats too. So listen, you might get real creative about how we, supplement different things. Because I do like to make salmon patties, and I think that's like I don't know what I'm gonna add it, maybe some salmon and some rice and some peas. Add that as another option for Thanksgiving. But what are some other Thanksgiving foods that you guys stop looking at me crazy? I like to make all sorts of stuff. I do pasta, okay?
That just sounded even more weird.
That's because you ain't had my salmon.
I don't like salmon.
I've seen it to where you do turkey wings instead of a whole turkey.
That's an option.
If if you like that sort of thing.
Yeah. But like I said, we did turkey breasts, which, because again, I don't do the whole, I ain't doing the whole thing. So turkey breast, like that came out, that was appropriately priced. It was affordable and it was easy. And, we didn't have this instance that we'll share with you later about waiting too late to put the turkey in the oven, because that happened to me, but we're not going to get into that.
You mean waiting too late or not? Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry, my brain
Is
was
the
trying to say something
sugar
else.
wearing off? Is that what's happening?
It is. It is.
Okay. That's cool, 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 cool. Felt like it. Felt like it. But also, like you said, like getting creative, like definitely I started buying like cream of cheese soup. I never used that before in my life. I usually just use milk and cheese and just kind of netted it out. But whatever is more affordable for you, whatever you can do to keep your flavors and still make it delicious for your family, I recommend. But listen, shop early, go to multiple stores, check the newspaper, that thing that actually got to pick up and read and take the circulars out of there. That's your friends. And also digital coupons. Make sure you go to your stores and check out your store's website and make sure you have that shopper's card, because that is also your friend. It's going to help you make much more affordable and happy choices. So with that, I think we can wrap things up because seriously, y'all doing the most, especially the one who's on the sugar high. Like that's crazy. Um, we had a lot
This
to
was good.
reflect on today. In terms, I know we spent a good portion of our time diving into education, and we were a little brief on our holidays, but there's good reason for that because, like I said, we have an entire Midnight Confessions dedicated to holiday learnings, um, and stories that is coming your way at the end of the month, and then you get to hear all about the things that I do not want to tell you just yet without truth now. And with that, we want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube.
You guys can listen to us on our iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Amazon Audible, YouTube Music, on Pocket Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
Thank you. You can also follow
Also,
us.
you can follow us individually.
Mhm.
Well, except Evelyn. You can follow us individually, Tanisha_MamaPod at TikTok and Instagram. Kiara at Kiara MamaPod on Instagram and Facebook. And Content Vixen on Twitter or X. And check us out on our website at www.maineventmamaspodcast.com, where you can leave us a voice note, ask to be a part of our show, read our blogs, or go buy some merch. That should be your holiday spirit. Blessed
That's
one.
right. Bless somebody with their mama gear. Not a lie. We have some awesome stuff. We'll have some stuff coming out, some videos where you can see some of our gear because I have some ideas for some new gear that's coming because there's some more coming your way pretty soon. Now that I have time on my hands, that's creative juices. I got to get out somewhere. And with that, we also want to remind you that you can join our communities on Patreon. Where you get exclusive behind the scenes footage, which will be maybe where you find that thing that may be missing that you don't know it's missing right now because I'm gonna cut it out and only put it for our Patreon audience. Or you can get our exclusive previews of some of these pay-per-views and our picks that are going to be on Patreon as well. And yes, you can join for free because there's also wonderful free benefits as well. You can also join our Facebook squad where we like to give previews of Monday Night Raw. And of course, lots of tea that we hear about on the day, before, or after. And we like to ask you questions and join there as well as a community for that. And with that, we're not new to this.
We're so true to this. And this was Main Event Mamas.
Woo-woo.
The main event mama's bringing the heat. Talking life, love, and the wrestling beat.